Hi guys, it is Deanna and I am here with Stitches Quilting to show you how to make a fitted face mask. So with this fitted face mask, it should be pretty good. It does have a little bit of wire here at the top. You can omit that if you'd like to. We have some elastic ties, but I'm going to show you how to do the bias ties too. And this is a fitted face mask with a pocket filter, so you can insert a filter in if you like. Please let me know if you are on live. I am trying to stream this with YouTube and also Facebook at the same time and with the multi-camera view. And please make some comments so that I know that you're here and that you're live. And let me just go ahead and pull up my screen, and I am going to make sure that this pulls up too. So, okay, there we go. Looks like we've got it. And I'm going to activate that and put this on. Okay, so I have a free pattern for you guys. If you would like to get this pattern, just go ahead and let me know if you'd like this pattern in the comments, and the pattern will be sent with you on Facebook. If not, on YouTube, you will be able to go down in the link and see the link for this for this pattern that is available right here. So I have also graded out the pattern sizes so that you have one that's for a man, a woman, a child, and a teenager, so that there's different varying sizes for whoever you might be making this face mask for. So I wanted to let you guys know about that too. Hi guys! Oh, I'm seeing people. I can see your comments. Let me go ahead and pull that up. Oh, hello, Shelly. So I hope it's working. Hi, Dolores. Hi, Diana, and it is so wonderful. Let me know if you're getting the patterns too, if the link in the comments is sending this to you through Facebook. So anyways, I'm so happy we are going to be doing our three view cameras today. So I have finally stepped up the game. Okay, so we are now encouraged by the CDC to actually be wearing face masks out and about, but they don't want us going out and purchasing face masks that might be used, that could be used by the actual, hello, Crystal, hi, Meryl Lee, oh, you guys, that's wonderful. Oh, good, Diana, thank you for letting me know it's working. Okay, so, but we don't want to go out this. I have this left over from when Luke had pneumonia, and oh my gosh, that was so bad in the fall. So these are left over from that experience because we were just trying to keep everything clean and safe. So this is the face mask that we're going to use, and I actually have 3 different fabrics that I'm using with this. And hi, Nina, I haven't seen you in so long. It's so good to see you. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started, and let me show you a couple steps here. First of all, I have to let you know, I have a missionary that's serving a mission for 2 years in New York, and his mission president has asked, it's a church mission, if we would send him a face mask. So I am actually making this face mask today for him and his companion. So that's what we're going to be working on. So I am actually going to be making this face mask for some others. I wanted to show you, I'm going to be using this really cute little, let me switch the camera view for you guys. I am actually going to be using this, this pin cushion, and it reminds me of Jake, you guys. But inside, he wrote me a note. He used to love to put pins all through this whenever I sewed when he was a little boy. And on here he says, I love you with all my heart. Love, Jake Runyon. He left me a note. This is probably when he was a teeny tiny little boy. He's so cute. So I went ahead and I put my pins in here today that I'm going to use during the video because this is just so sweet to me. I love it. You know how to sew. Akila says, I know how to sew, but I don't know how to set up your sewing machine. I need to sew masks for my husband's coworkers. Yes, help. Okay, we could do that, Akila. Let's go ahead, and I already have my sewing machine set up, but I will do another video really quickly for you for that. And I agree, we need to, we're going to help make face masks for our neighbors and for some other things going on too. So this is the face mask that we're going to do today, is this one right here. This is a size medium, and this is the size for the teenager. So, and this is another face mask tutorial that is a pleated face mask tutorial that I went ahead and I taught, but I'm going to do another video for you now that I have the 3 cameras working. So I'm going to set these over to the side, but these are the ones that we're going to use. This is the downloadable pattern. There's a lot of pages here. You don't have to print it off, and you don't have to print it all off, but what you will want to print are these back 4 pages, because these are the ones that have the various sizes. So here we have a size large for a man. We have a size medium for a woman. We have a size small for a teen. And we have a size for a child right here. Okay, so you're going to want to just take these, and you don't need to print off all of this, but the blog post is there for you. But you'll want to print off just these last 4 pages of this pattern for you. So I'm going to go ahead and set this over to the side. I have actually already cut out my size that I'm going to use. Actually, I might use a different size. Let's go ahead, and I've got some extra sheets over here. Let's go ahead and cut out, and this you're going to want to use with some paper scissors. So don't use your really nice sewing scissors to cut out the paper. So let's go ahead and pull this over here to the side, and I'm going to bring this down for just a moment. So we're going to go ahead and cut this out. So this is what you're going to print. When you print this off, there's a grid in the background. You're going to print it off and then measure with your ruler, measure that this grid is for sure 1 inches. And it gives you instructions on how to print everything, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and print off or cut out this medium size for Jake and his companion. I hope this size will fit him. I think it will. I like the medium or the teen size for me. I did put some little sewing scissors right there so that you can see that you actually cut on this line. The other pages of the pattern actually have your seam allowance. We're going to sew this at a 3/8 of an inch. All right. So here I have this. I am actually going to use, let's go ahead and take this out of the way, 3 different fabrics. And I am going to use these 3 different fabrics so that you guys can see that there is going to be, this face mask has a pocket filter, which I'm going to use this solid blue fabric right here. It's going to have an inside layer right here that is this white printed. And then it's going to have this plaid piece right here. I don't know if you can see that. That's going to be the exterior part of this. So you can see right here, here's this face mask in the same fabrics. Here's the plaid fabric. This is the liner right here that is navy blue, a solid navy blue. Oh, the pattern you can get on Facebook. It is free, and you just download it, and it's right there for you. And this is the lining fabric. So, but this provides a pocket so that you can put in a filter, a HEPA filter, or anything like that. Be sure to like this video and share the video too if you want to, but be sure to like it, because if you like the video, I will then invite you to follow the Stitches Quilting Facebook page and follow Stitches Quilting on YouTube too. Okay, so let's go ahead and just lay these fabrics here, because then I'm going to lay my pattern that you can print off. Remember, this is a free pattern, free pattern. Okay, so we're going to just stack these up. I am actually going to cut this out with these 6 layers. So I'm going to place this like this. This arrow right here on the pattern is to actually cut, the grain of the fabric, if you're not familiar with that, but it's no big deal. Don't worry about it. Okay, so now I'm going to use this small rotary cutter. You can use a large rotary cutter. You could pin this in place. You could, you can just do any number of things. Actually, I might like my larger. I am actually cutting 6 layers at one time, which works for me, especially while I'm doing a live video. So I'm not taking up any more time than what you guys need. All right, so let's go ahead and pull that across. And you could use scissors, and we could pin this. Let's use our pins from our pin cushion that Jake left me a note in when he was a little boy. Gonna go ahead and bring this over. Another thing you could do, Luke, no, I've got these cameras in here. I wish you could come say hi, but I've got all the cameras set up for the different camera views, like this one right here, bud. And I might accidentally, if you want to, you could lay your ruler down where you're cutting this, so you've got a place to lean that against, if that makes sense. And let's go ahead and cut out this one right here. Okay, we are going to do this with elastic, or I'm also going to show you how to do it with your bias tape too. Okay, there we go. We have our 3 different face mask linings. I'm using 3 different fabrics. You should use 2 different fabrics so people can know the front side of the mask and the back side of the masks. You guys, share with me all of your tips and trips for making these, because I know all of you guys have been making masks. So please use this video as a resource for sharing all of the tips and tricks that you have. So Dolores is actually sewing a mask while she's watching me. Oh, very fun. I love it. Okay, so now as part of something that I've prepared for you in the pattern is you can print this off. It says that you have an exterior layer, which is this plaid right here. You have a pocket filter layer, which is number 2, is my solid blue. And then my interior layer is number 3. You could actually, so I'm going to leave that right there for you. I am going to put a label on here so you guys can see what I'm doing right here. Let me put the label over on this side. So you can print this off. It also comes on your pattern. Oh, let's see here, right here. I've given you guys this little cheat sheet so you know what fabrics and what order to put the fabrics in. Okay, I've tried to make this as easy as can be. Okay, the solid blue is for our pocket filter. That's going to be the little place where you can slip in a pocket. And this inside is my lining, the interior layer. So you could actually substitute this with a interfacing or whatever you want. Whatever you want to do, you can do. These are your masks. Customize this pattern so it works for you. Okay, first step that we're going to now do is sew these pieces together, right sides together with the fabric. So here I've cut this. You can see my plaid. Got 2 pieces of fabric. I'm going to put them right sides together. So the print is kissing each other. So you can see we've got the printed fabric right there. I'm going to just pin this real carefully. I'm going to keep not carefully, I'm not too worried about it. I'm going to keep my label on here so you guys can remember what I'm doing, and it helps me remember what I'm doing too. And then I'm going to get ready to sew this. Let me just go ahead and lay this down because I'm going to put these fabrics now right sides together. So the pretty sides are going to kiss each other, right sides together right here. Okay, let's go ahead and pin this like that. And I'm sure you guys have learned so many different ways to make these fast. Oh yes, you could use t-shirt fabric, and I am going to show you guys how to do that. And I have a t-shirt sitting here close to me. Let me go ahead and put this is a solid fabric. These are already right sides together on here. But let me go ahead and label this pocket filter because this is a solid fabric. So I'm not worried. It's the same fabric on both sides. Okay, let's bring it over to our next camera view of the sewing machine. All right, here's my sewing machine. I do have it threaded. If you are new to sewing, you just want to thread it up and down according to your sewing machine manual. I will do a video on setting up a sewing machine because I think it's important. This time of quarantine, you guys, there are so many blessings. There are a lot of hardships with this. Okay, we're going to just go ahead and let me fix my thread here for a second. Let me see if I've got this threaded properly. I don't. It pulled out. Oh, it is. Okay, there we go. So let's go ahead and lay this down. My sewing machine foot's going to come down, and I'm just going to stitch along this curved edge. I am using red thread for you guys. What are some of the blessings? I know that this is a crazy situation, but what are some of the blessings of being in quarantine? You guys, I have enjoyed spending more time with my family. I've enjoyed being home and finding creative things that I need to do. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and just put that like that. Another shortcut tip is you can string feed these together all at once. So let's go ahead and do the next layer. For those of you guys that want to just substitute and only have 2 layers, you can do that. Modify this pattern the way you would like it. This is my pocket filter layer. So let's go ahead and bring that over. And I'm just stitching on that large curve right here. And we're bringing that along. You guys, isn't it exciting? I have my 3 camera view back up and working. It takes a lot of energy to do these things technologically. You guys have to let me know if my voice is delayed or correct when you're looking at my face on the camera. Okay, let's go ahead and take out these pins right here. I am keeping on my labels of what layer this is. So this is the pocket filter, this is my interior fabric, and this is the exterior fabric. You want at least 2 fabrics so they know which way to put it on their face. Okay, let's go ahead and move to our next camera overview again, and we're gonna press these. One thing that's kind of helpful is you just kind of set your seams just real carefully like that, and it just presses your seams down in. We're going to open these up, and we're not going to press the seams open. We're going to press the seams as a flap over. So let me go ahead and show this to you. So I just wanted to demonstrate this. So we want this to be a flap over. I am going to top stitch this. You guys, do you think that top stitching is good or not? Liz, thank you for letting me know my voice is good. I just want to know on that front view when you're looking at my face, if my voice is delayed or too fast with the camera view. Okay, so there we have. So you can see I did not press my seams open like this. I pressed, so it's not pressed open. It's pressed over to the side. If you pink the edge, they lay much nicer. You are so right about that. So I do have some pinking shears behind me. I'm not going to grab them. But yes, if you can just put some little notches in there, it lays much nicer. So there we go on that. Now, I am going to top stitch this. Do you guys have feedback about whether or not this should be top stitched? But let's go ahead and press our other ones real carefully and just real quickly. So I have to tell you guys, for people that don't know how to sew, I think this is a great time to learn how to sew. I wouldn't want to spend a lot of money on a mask. It's nice to be able to use resources. It's nice to be able to learn new skills. I'm actually trying to teach Luke how to cook a little bit more that's from, instead of prepared food, a little bit, food that is more from scratch. So that, we're dealing with that instead of constantly. So let me just press this over. So does anybody have feedback? You think it makes them stronger? I was just worried if it's creating additional holes in there. But I do like to, so I have these pressed over, and it's just pressed the seam is over to one side. I'm now going to take these back over to the sewing machine, and I'm going to top stitch along here. This will make it so the wash is a little bit better. Let's go ahead and move back to our sewing machine view of the camera. So I'm going to just lay this in here, the top side up, my seam is facing down, and I'm going to top stitch along this. Oops, I lost my thread. Just a sec. It unthreaded. So here, that's a good view. Let's go ahead and look at how to thread your sewing machine. So we have right here some red thread in. I'm putting in red thread because I want you guys to be able to see where I'm stitching and how the stitches look, okay? So you bring this over, bring it up and down and back down. And mine has arrows to show me which way to go. If you don't know how to sew, to thread your sewing machine, just pull up a YouTube video on your sewing machine and and write down how to thread, how to put in the bobbin, and all of that will come. Oh, I hate having to lick this, but threading the needle can be a little tricky. I'm so sorry. For us, let me put my foot down. There we go. So I have a little bit more space in there. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I have to say there are so many blessings that are happening despite the difficulty of this situation. So I was hoping that maybe we can focus on what some of those blessings are of things that you noticed. For example, I might be a sewist and a quilter, but I am going to plant a garden this summer, and I am not a good gardener. I am not a good gardener. That is not a skill set. People here are selling homemade masks between $15 and $10 each. I just can't sell them. If someone's in need, we are commanded to help. I agree. It's really hard, Shelly. I can understand why some people are selling them. There's a lot of people that have lost their jobs. I don't want to sell them personally myself. I just want to have them available. We have some people in our neighborhood that are older and don't have, resources to do this. And we're going to make sure that people in our neighborhood, a group of us, are going to have available masks if they want them. Some people may not want them. So it's just based on what people feel comfortable with. And I'm not pushing any of my views or anything on anybody. We've just got to make this a happy world and spread as much kindness as we can. But I do understand when people are using their resources, that other vantage point, but I'm kind of with you there. I don't need to make money on this right now at this time in my life. Okay, so you can see I'm string feeding these. This is a step that you could skip. You don't have to top stitch these. This is just a step that you can actually skip. Okay, so let me move this camera down a little bit more so you guys can see me actually stitching. So I'm going to trim my threads in between these. And once again, you can see these are my layers, but you can see that top stitch of the red thread in there, I think. If you guys can see that. You could probably see it better on this piece of white fabric. Okay, so remember, so I just did a top stitch right there. Remember, this is my outer fabric. So it is labeled right there, exterior layer. This is my interior layer that you won't see. You could actually use some interfacing if you wanted to for that layer. This is my pocket filter layer. So now we're going to work on this one next. So I'm going to go ahead and move this over just so I can remember what layer is what. Luke wants to come in the video, and I'm going to actually press this and show you because we're going to hem this side of these. So let's go ahead and change the camera to the overhead view. And my little pressing mat right here. So what we're going to do here is for this pocket, it's really simple. We're going to just fold this over about 3/4 of an inch. Okay? And press it, and we're going to fold it over another 3/4 of an inch. This is going to make this pocket filter layer smaller so that when we put our elastic in, it is not going to be caught up in the elastic stitching for the casing for that elastic. So we're just moving these over. So this is the next step of this part of the pattern. So now I'm going to just take this over to the sewing machine, and I'm going to stitch these closed right here, just right along that fold. So you can see I folded this twice, once here and once here. I like to press whenever I stitch and sew. So let's go ahead and bring that down and stitch that closed. I actually like this red thread. This is too fun to be making this for my son Jake that is on his mission in New York. I'm so excited to be shipping him something. And I'll show you what else I'm putting in the box. It's got a few Easter goodies in there and some other things. So I put some other things in the box. When Jake is 18, so you can see there's the stitching for that. So this is ready to just be set aside. Let's go ahead and bring this over to the other camera view, the overhead camera. Your blessing, Laura says, is that during this time of staying home, you're spring cleaning your entire house and yard. Yes, yes, and you get to sew. I totally agree with you. We are doing the same thing, and we are actually painting too. Okay, this piece is ready and we can set it aside. All right. Oh, you guys, I did do a magic root cover up today. My roots are showing through, but I am going to learn how to color my hair later today, or else Corey's going to help me do it. So we'll see how I look tomorrow, you guys. I agree. There are many, many blessings and things that we're learning how to do. Okay, so now we're going to take these layers and we're going to layer them up. So we have instructions right here. So let's go ahead and set this down. This says exterior layer, wrong side down. So this is the top of the nose where this point is. So we're going to lay this wrong side down. Pocket filter layer, right side up. So we're going to take this pocket filter layer and we're going to lay it right side up. And these two are going to be kissing together. So right sides together. Oh, I'm sorry, the pocket filter layer. Sorry, that's the wrong thing. Okay, this is the pocket filter layer, right side up. Okay, you can see my finished stitching seam right there. And here's where it says pocket filter layer, the exterior layer. Exterior layer, wrong side down, pocket filter layer, right side up. Okay, so we're going to line these up like this, like so, and it's got this curved edge. This is the part that goes towards the face. And now we are going to take our third piece, and this is the interior layer. The interior layer says right side up. That's our third layer. So let's go ahead and we're going to pin this, and I'm going to show you. So let's take a peek at this. This is our exterior layer. It's facing down, right side down. Pocket filter layer, right side up. And the interior layer, actually right side up. So let's line these up. We're going to match our center seam right here. I prefer this mask. We're going to do another tutorial on this pleated mask, which is easier to do. But I wanted to go ahead and show you guys the fitted mask also. So now I'm going to match my center seams. I've got a pin in there, and we are going to match these seams over here. We'll just get all three of those and catch them in. All right, let's put a pin in it right here. And we're going to stitch this, and we're going to stitch along the top layer where this nose ridge is. And we are actually going to put a piece of wire in here. But once again, that's a step that if you're making a whole bunch of them and you want to omit that, you can. Okay, so now what we're going to do is take this over to the sewing machine. We're going to stitch across this whole ridge. All right, so let's go ahead and change the camera view to the sewing machine. I'm going to lay this down here, make sure my fabrics are lined up. And this does have a little bit of stretch to it. Since we've cut that on the angle, but I am going to make sure that these are lined up and bring this over here. We're going to stitch this about that 3/8 of an inch of a seam. Let's bring this along. We're going to go over the curve of the nose, and we're catching all three layers at the same time. And this way, the finished seam will be finished up there at the top. Okay, we're going to bring this over. Just right like that. Okay, so let's pull this off, trim our thread. Let's take out the pins. And if we flip this, you can see when this gets flipped, we're going to have the layers. Let me bring it over to the other camera. We're going to have the layers all perfectly laid together. Okay, so you can see here. Yes, beauticians should be essential services. I agree. There we go. So you can see we are just going and layering these through. Do you see how that is? And what we are now going to do, I'm just showing you what we're doing. And I know that this is kind of takes a little bit longer getting that in order, but I'm going to show you how to put in the wire. These are all things that you cannot do. Don't worry, you don't have to do this. Let's go ahead and let me get my wire cutters out. We're going to use about 6 inches of wire. I'm going to take this wire And we're going to put it in between. The pattern has the instructions on this. So if you want the pattern on Facebook, just say, send me the pattern in the comments. And the Facebook will send it to you. The mask has a tight fit. Yes, this does have a tighter fit. We are now going to lay the wire in, snug up close to the seam, right up along the top. And I'm going to straighten this out. If you don't have wire, what are other things that you guys can use? What are things that you're using if you don't have wire? We can use a paper clip. We can use a, what are the fuzzy things called, you guys? I'm going to now just put this in between my lining layer and the pocket filter layer. And we're going to close this back up. I can feel my wire right there, right along that seam. I'm going to pin it in place where it is. I'm trying to keep it as close to that stitching as I possibly can. And we're going to just kind of pin that right in place so it kind of doesn't wiggle around on us. And let me show you how to do this. I'm just straightening. Oh, you guys, I did forget something. We're going to take this wire really quickly. I'm sorry, let me pull this wire out. So it doesn't poke. We're actually going to turn the ends of the wire so it doesn't poke out through the fabric. We don't want it to poke out through the fabric, and we want it to work. Okay, so you can see just that little bit of a turn that I did right there. And you can use this with any kind of tool at your fingers and just, you know, push that in so the fabric, the wire is actually turned. Okay, let's place this up between the lining layer and the pocket filter layer. Bring this up. We're going to pin this in so it's snug up against the seam. Let me just pull that up a little bit closer to that seam. I'm just pinning it just right in place, as close as I can to that seam. I'm going to feel and see if my wire is in about the right spot that I want it to be. Now we're going to stitch on top of this to keep the wire in place. So let me go ahead and grab a pencil so I can feel where my wire is with my fingers. You might not be able to see this, but just take a pencil. I'm marking right here where we're going to stitch. This is not going to hurt anything. A pencil or a pen, anything will work. And I'm marking that in place. Okay, so you can see I just did a mark there. You could use a friction pen, anything that you want to be doing. You should say right sides together. Sorry, Donna. Sorry. Okay, so then I'm going to now stitch on my sewing machine with this pencil guide on there. So let's go ahead and switch that camera over. And I'm going to bring my sewing machine. I can do a back stitch right here or hold my fabric in place. Let's bring this over. Let's think of some other, and I'm going to just I'm not going to stitch on top of the wire. It will break my sewing machine needle. I am trying to go as close as I can to the wire so the wire stays in place. I'm following along the pencil line approximately. This does not need to be precise. We're just catching the wire in a small pocket within the face mask. But this will give you the nose ridge if you want this aspect and feature of it. How else have you guys inserted your wire? I'm so curious about the different techniques that are out there. There is not a right or wrong technique. So you can see this nose ridge now has shape. You can see, let me hold this a little bit better. You can see that little pocket that I stitched that has the wire within there, okay? When you open this up, let's go ahead and do the overhead camera back. When you open this up, it won't show any of that stitching line on there. So you can see we did not stitch on top of our top exterior layer or our pocket filter layer. Everything is inside there. Oop, it looks like I have a pin I need to take out. Maybe, maybe not. Nope, I don't. Okay, so now we're going to stitch. Well, I can show you about what that looks like. Okay, so let's go ahead and pull this open. When we open this up and birth it, it's going to look just like that. But before we do that, we're going to stitch this lower seam along this way, and we're going to turn this inside out. I know this might seem like a long way to do this. Once again, I'm going to match up my lines, my things. I could pin this if you feel like it. If you're making a whole bunch of these, you may not feel like you need to pin anymore, depending on how many you make. Just depends on what you're doing. So I'm going to switch the camera over to the sewing machine, and let's go ahead and lay this in here. We're going to do our 3/8 of an inch seam, and we're catching all 3 layers as they're there. Okay, I'm going to bring this over and match that up. Okay, there we go. Let's open this up. Let's take off our labels. We don't need, oh, let's go back to the overhead camera. Let's bring our labels over here. We don't need these anymore to kind of guide us with how the layering should be. Let's take out these pins. Let's get out we could take off some extra threads that we might have and kind of trim those off. Although if there's threads, it's probably just fine. Here we go. Let's go ahead and take this label off of my interior label fabric. And we're going to birth this. So let's turn this inside out. And when we open this up, we are going to turn it so that we can see this plaid fabric, your exterior label, and your pocket filter label. So let's bring this through. I can pull this out. And we can pull this all the way through. And you'll see that then we have all of these finished seams for everything. So this might just take a tiny bit of work to explain, but boy, once you guys have this down, this is just a really fast method. What we're going to want to do is press our mask, our fitted face mask. And let's go ahead and bring this down. You can put it on after it's made by sewing a 2.5 to a 5/8 of a ribbon. Yes, on the back. And so 3 sides, insert the wire, then close. Good idea. I like that, Dolores or Alma, so that you can add the wire later by putting a wire up at the top. Okay, let's go ahead and press this top portion. Oh, it would have been smart to actually have maybe clipped some of these seams right here so that this can turn a little bit easier inside of that nose ridge. So it lays a little bit flatter. Okay, here we go. We've got an idea. So that nose ridge, I was just kind of clipping it in a few places so that we've got a flatter edge there. Okay, so now let's go ahead and do a finishing seam along the top and the bottom of this mask. So we've got a nice face mask here. Let's go ahead and press this maybe just a moment longer. Here we go. Let's bring this over. It's always nice to have a good press, you know, but it feels awkward pressing something that has, that isn't just a straight object, right? We've got a nose ridge here, so that fitted portion of it makes it a little bit harder to press, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to roll my seams as I'm pressing here. So let's go back to the sewing machine. Now we're just going to top stitch this bottom ridge where this goes underneath your chin. And what this will do is by top stitching here, when you wash the face mask, it's going to keep its shape. So we're just going to do a small little finishing seam here. And it just will keep its shape a little bit more after you wash it by doing a finishing seam. Let's go ahead and bring this over. And I'm kind of rolling my seams as I go along. And then that gives us a good little area. Do you guys like it? I like my masks with the elastic on the sides. Now I'm going to stitch along the top portion. So we top stitched on the bottom portion of the face mask. Now let's go ahead and bring it along the top. So here we go. Let's go ahead and top stitch this. Let's see, you've been looking for a pattern for a larger mask. Yes, Dolores, this pattern is sized for various sizes. I went ahead and I graded the mask. I'm feeling where my wire is. When I'm doing this finishing stitch, I am feeling where my wire is so I don't stitch on top of my wire and break my needle. So let me just feel a little bit more right here. So I'm just making sure it's where I want that wire to be. I'd rather not break a needle right now. Let me lift this up. It's like right there. It's too funny. Let me go around it just a tiny bit. Come back up. Okay, let's come over here. I'm going to roll a little bit more. Okay, going around that little curve that we did so the wire does not poke through the fabric. The wire I'm using is actually floral wire that has a plastic coating around it. Okay, there we go. We're almost, oh, I just broke my thread again. Okay, so you can see, let's go ahead and bring it over to the overhead camera. Yes, ask for the pattern, and on Facebook, it will send it to you. On YouTube, the link to the free pattern will be in the description of the video. So you can see we have this top stitched here. We have it top stitched on the bottom. I can go ahead and cut some of these threads because we are now going to close up the sides. And we are almost done, you guys. It really doesn't take that long. Once you get these and you go fast on this, as I'm trying to explain different tips and tricks, and you guys please share more tips. What have you heard about different fabrics to use or other types of things? Okay, now all we're going to do now is create a casing over here to hold our elastic. So let me press this. I love to press. I know it's crazy, but I really like to press. Maybe it's the quilter in me. I don't like to press my own clothing so much, but I do like to press as I'm sewing. So we're gonna just fold this over our front casing right there, and then we're gonna fold it again. So I've just done where the raw edges are, I folded that over, okay, and we're gonna fold it over again to enclose that and give ourselves, and if we need to, pull this over. You want about a 1/2 inch right there. So let's go ahead and do this again and press that down. Okay, so all we have to do is, that's like done. Let's do this again. Get your raw edges just folded over just slightly. Those raw threads and the edge of the fabric. So this is what I call my smart fitted filter pattern. I just really like this pattern because I don't have to sit there and think about too much. Let me move that over just slightly and let's press that. Okay, back over to the sewing machine. Let's go back over here. I'm not going to pin it, and you can see where I folded over the raw edges. I made a little press and I'm bringing it over again. I'm going to make sure that those raw edges are caught. You can see here is the filter part of the pocket. Okay, I don't want to have that close. If I need to, I can pin that back as I go ahead and stitch this. Right here, you would want to do a back stitch. Oh, I don't have any thread. Just one moment. I broke it. Okay, here's how to thread your machine if you don't know how to thread your machine. Let's bring this over, down, bring it back down and around. This is my tension arm, bringing that through, and then now down into the sewing machine needle. Threading that. Let me go ahead and give myself a fresh end of the thread, and let's bring that back in and thread that. Ah! Okay, it feels good to be sitting at a sewing machine. I also have a free pattern for a quilt that's called A World of Hearts, and we're doing a quarantine quilt along where we're making a heart quilt that's 24 inches square. I have videos on how to do that. If you're interested in learning how to quilt, that's a great project to do. And we are hanging them in our windows to share all the love that we have in the world out, to say thank you for everything that everybody is doing. Gonna make sure my raw edges are caught here. And I'm going to stitch this down and around along here. So, so someone asked if the wire doesn't rust with the washes. My wire is plastic coated. So mine is a floral wire. So since it's plastic coated, it will not rust. I can show you that. So you can see right here, it's a plastic coated with like a green coating on it. So that, you know, when you have floral wire that's combined with water, you don't want that rusting in, you know, when you're using it for, say, a corsage, you don't want rust to then get on the person's dress. So I am actually using floral wire that is plastic coated. It's typically seen with that green coating on it. And I find that's really helpful. You can find twisty ties. I have some sitting here that have a plastic coating too. You certainly don't want to use one with a paper coating of a twisty tie. So, but there are lots of different things that you can do. Okay, let's go ahead and just bring this across. This is our elastic casing where we're going to put our elastic. I'm back stitching right there because this will have the most wear and tear on your face mask. Right in here, we don't want that to break open on somebody and then have the face mask be useless, or they have to mend the face mask, right? So let's take off some of those extra threads. Let's switch the camera view back over. Okay, here we go. So, this is definitely a weird time, but I have to say I really enjoy going out for a walk and seeing all the other neighbors walking. We don't always say hi to every single neighbor, but we sure do now. And everybody says hi to us because it's just so nice to be able to see people and to appreciate that access, that human contact, even though we're not really having contact. Okay, here we go. This is the face mask size right here. We are now going to take elastic. What length of elastic? Yeah, pipe cleaners I think would be just fine. So Vivian, pipe cleaners would be fine. Anything that you do is going to be fine. The goal is to cover your face. And so let's go ahead and get some elastic. Let's talk elastic for a moment. It's hard to find elastic now these days. You might be able to find a wider elastic that has a stitching length to it where it's horizontally stitched. On this elastic right here, I can cut this elastic. Let me get my nicer scissors. I can cut this so that I've got a 1/4 inch length. So I'm going to just cut this in half. And then I will be able to use this. I feel like 8 inches is good for the ears. I'm going to show you, we're going to try another technique though. So about 8 inches is good for the ears, for just having the elastic. But we can make elastic that goes around our whole length of our head. Now, when you cut your elastic, you're going to want to kind of stretch it out and pull out any of these little unravelly ends. And then it will be just fine. Just pull out the extra little fibers, but they will stay intact. Okay? So now let's lay this down and measure this out. So that's about 8 inches. Let's go ahead and cut this short. And you cannot cut elastic that has a seaming where it's going horizontally across. Let me see if I can bring this up close enough. Can you see how it's going horizontal there? Man, my fingers are all scratched up. Why? But see, it's horizontal. If we cut this on a horizontal type elastic, when you pull it, let me just do a little bit more so you guys can see what happens. It makes a big mess. So, and it won't stop unraveling, okay? All right, so it'd work, but you can see there's a lot of fibers that are coming loose. So, and it just kind of keeps coming apart. So this kind that is horizontal, if you can see those horizontal lines there, is different from this vertical. Can you see that? It's vertically done. Okay, I purchased, and I was so hoping this was going to work, this wide waist elastic, and this can cut. I've got it in navy blue and gray. You can use this, but it definitely has more fibers that come out. I have used it. You just can't get your exact amount. It will fray quite a bit before you can get it. So this waistband elastic that's 2 inches wide, this is from Riley Blake. This one, I mean, you can see that's staying intact, but you will have a little bit of a frayed edge. If anybody wants this, I haven't posted it up for sale or anything like that. Okay. I do have an online quilt store. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take a safety pin right here, and we're going to feed our elastic through the casing. Okay. Got lots of fibers here right now. So let's go ahead and just push this in. It's going to be, I'm using a safety pin to bring this through. How do you guys, if you don't want to do this, you could stitch your elastic to either side and just close that if you don't want the elastic through this side. I find that it's a little bit more fitted on my face when I do this. Really, that's up to you guys. What length do you guys like on here? I'm going to go ahead and pull this through. This is going to be a little bit of a tight fit on this side, but I'm pulling it through. If you had, you could go to the dollar store and pick up elastic that is for a hairband. Oh my gosh, it came out. That's too funny. Okay, well, we can restart that. Okay. Anyways, you guys, that's so silly that happened to me. Good golly. Here, I've got some other smaller elastic. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Here we go. We'll just pull this through. Here's another one. Now, another thing that we could do is actually do a 30-inch length of a piece. And so this just comes through and has elastic like right along here. And that hooks onto the ears. Okay? For people that don't want that, let me show you another method. You can use about 30-inch long elastic. Let me pull it in through here first. And we can have it go all the way around the head so that you've got, and we're going to do it as one long consecutive piece. So I'm just throwing out ideas here. Really, this is finished. You could also use bias tape, and I've got some of that right here. And we just stitch that down instead of using elastic. We can also use t-shirt fabric. So if you don't have access to elastic, I'm sorry, you guys, this is ornery. Okay, come on through. Come burst through my little hole. I should have, my safety pin came open, you guys. I can see it coming through. There, maybe I put it back in. Now, can you guys see my safety pin is coming through there? That's not going to work. Okay, we're not going to worry about this right now. This must not be a good safety pin. Guys, I'm so sorry. Let me just pull this through one more time. I'll try not to pinch it or get too aggressive with the safety pin and just kind of bring that along through there. Okay. So, but what you can do is with this longer elastic, you can bring this all the way through, bring it over to this side, like this, depending on what you are comfortable with. If you're making this is something you would make for, say, yourself or for a family member where you knew what size elastic they would need. This is just an alternative idea. Okay, you guys? So we're going to bring this through, and then this can then have elastic that goes behind the head. Okay, and right here. So we can tie this off. When you tie this off, you always want to do a square knot. So I'm doing left over right and then right over left. And I'm going to tie this in a knot. I am not going to make this for Jake this way, but you can see how that is. I will pull this back out as one for Jake. And you can stitch on top of your knot so the knot does not come off. But you can see how that is, how it's going around the whole head. I'll go ahead and change it to the front view. Okay, so let me grab, the full front view so you can see my face. There we go. Hi, guys. I'm Deanna with Stitches Quilting. Please follow me on Facebook and YouTube. But let me go ahead and put on this mask. It has everything all the way around it. I do like elastic on my sides because it brings it in a little bit more on my face. Let me put this on my face. I would actually, you can see this is fitting really well right along here. I'm going to bring this up. I would shorten my amount of elastic here, but you can see this is fitting along the sides, along the top and the ridge here. Okay, I'm going to take this off so we can talk. So that's if you want to do things. So your niece, who is self-taught, has made over 300 masks and has given them all away for free. You donated 4 years of Saints and many yards of LSU fabric. Very good. I have extra fabric too. Luke, I am your mother. I'm sorry, I lost my head for a moment. Yes. So here we go. This is this mask. This one has it where it's just on the ends. Remember, you can just use bias tape right here. I have a 2.5 inch width fabric. I press this in half. I then press it coming in together. And then we stitch this right along and about maybe 11 inches long. Coming from the sides of this would work too. So you'd have 4 of these 11 inches long. So that's another way to have straps on there. There are so many different methods and different techniques. Research what you want to do. I do appreciate the elastic here. I just feel like it's a little bit closer on my face here. It doesn't gap out. Okay, we're going to do another video with this mask, with the pleated mask. We'll have a 3 camera overhead view, so you have the front of me, the overhead coming down, and the sewing machine video one of this, and I'll have another free pattern for you guys to download of this type of mask too. So there's many different alterations. You don't have to put the wire in like this. Just as Dolores recommended, you could put a piece of ribbon here and add a wire later. So don't make it too hard or too difficult for yourselves. This is the style of mask I'm just making for my family. It's what I feel comfortable with. I am so glad that I can share this with you. Download the pattern. Here's the pattern. So I've got about a 16-page pattern for you. You don't need to cut everything out, but it's got step out instructions of how to do this. Save this on your computer or your electronic devices. Ask on Facebook for the link to this. It will send it to you. Say, send me the pattern or whatever you want to do. And then you can go to where you can just download this for free. The parts that you're going to want to print off are these pieces right here. If you want to, you can just print off I have one. Each is individual for each side, but this one is actually graded with the multiple sizes on there that you could just print off this page and use another piece of plain paper to do it. If you don't have a printer right now, hold this up to your computer, have it up there, and hold it up there and trace the fabric. Trace a piece of paper on your computer screen, okay? Just have it be accurate size. Measure this little grid to see if it's 1 inch of how far you have it blown up, okay? And just use a piece of paper on your computer screen. There's so many different ways to be creative with these things. You guys, if my voice is not the same as I'm talking, please let me know if my voice is too fast or too slow. With the camera and with the streaming. I have to kind of change settings based on the internet speed and everything like that to have it all match up. Be sure to follow Deanna with Stitches Quilting. I have got a pattern, a free pattern for this quilt right here behind us. If you're wanting to, learn how to quilt, this is a great one. If you are a quilter and want a quick sew, we are hanging this in all of our windows around the world, and just letting everybody know that we love them, we appreciate them. Even though we are social distancing inside our homes, we absolutely adore everybody and love everybody. This free pattern comes in this 24-inch size, and also the 57-inch side. So that's 2 quilts for one with that. So we've got more ideas of things to share with you. Please let me know what other live videos you want to see. I'll do another pleated pattern for you. And I also do the pleater where you can easily pleat your fabrics together. So this one is also lined, where it also has a filter pocket in the center for you to pop in a filter if you want it. Okay, you guys, I love you guys. Everybody stay safe. Let me know how you're doing. Send me pictures of the masks that you're making. Join our Everyone Can Quilt Facebook group. Share photos of everything you're making there, because I love to see everything that you're doing. You guys inspire me. You guys are just my friends and my buddies, and I just appreciate you guys so much and love you guys so much. So thank you, and we will go ahead and step off, and we'll come back over tomorrow, and we'll have another live video if we don't have maybe one more today, because I'm having to do some instruction for some people that are here local. So we'll see you guys later. Have fun. Bye-bye.